You overthink it.
I know. And we'll go into non-public 93.
91.
Colon 3 to
It's 91A, Rick.
91.
I know. You keep wanting to say 93.
Colon 3.
Oh, yes, indeed. That's good with you, yeah.
I just do it by
I
default.
like it when everybody's, oh, we're ready to go?
I do it when you call. Going on record.
All the same questions over and over.
I don't know if it's
What
gonna work.
property was that? What were we talking
It
about?
does work, beautiful. They got to it today. Ernie, all set?
I am.
Everybody good to go?
Good to go. Thank you.
All right, let's give the high sign. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Committee of Infrastructure. Today is April 12th, 2023. And the meeting is held here in the Aldermanic Chamber on April 12th at 7 p.m. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Alderman Jettie.
Here.
Alderman Gavale.
Here.
Alderman Camo is here. Alderman Dowd.
Here.
Alderman O'Brien.
Present.
Also, we have Alderwoman Timmons and Alderman Clee and Alderman Sullivan.
Okay. So that everybody knows, we're going to, this meeting is going to be combined. We're going to start off with a stop sign after public comment and everything. And then we're going to morph into looking at some of the property that is in arrears with the city. At that particular time, I'm going to ask the members to realize that we're going to have a presentation, but at some point we'll probably go into a non-public session. The reason for such is, yes, maybe you might be able to research it online, but the thing is it comes with a lot of stories, okay? And some of those stories are personal, and it's my opinion that it's better to stay non-public for those situations. It's, you know, sometimes there's something, you know, that could be quite personal to the people and why they did not pay their taxes. So when we get to that level, we'll get into that. But the presentation that'll be done by the tax department will be done for the camera purposes. So without objection, I'm going to go out of order. So while we're on camera, we'll have like the comments and the closing statements, public comments from the people while we're still on camera. And then we'll go right into the non-public without objection of that. Okay, so everybody's got, now that I limed the pitch, we should be all set. All right. You also got people who are also in attendance?
Patty Barry, Deputy Tax Collector, John Griffin, CFO Treasurer Tax Collector, and I believe Tim Cummings, Administrative Services and Economic Development Director, is on Zoom. Also at 7:04, Alderman Tebow joined us in the chamber.
Okay. All right, at this time, I'm gonna open up for public comment. On public comment for people who want to come forward, our tradition is a 3-minute window that you can speak to the board, okay? And at the close of that, you know, there is a timer. You'll see the light if this is your first time. When you start getting into the yellow lights, just like a traffic, you know, it's time for you to start to wrap it up. Red light, we'll call you and stop you, okay? You know, so with that, yes, please come up. I also got to ask that you introduce yourself, your name, and your address. Okay, and also too, it should be items that are on the agenda in the first part. Okay, so welcome, sir.
Thank you, Michael. My name is Vince Kelly. I live at 10 Parish Hill Drive. I'm here about the stop signs. Don't have a lot to say. I said it all to Patricia earlier. I did want to take this opportunity. This has been an interesting experience for me, never having been involved with the Board of Aldermen or certainly the Infrastructure Committee. And I'd like to compliment Tyler for having the integrity to follow up and just make the process work. You know, how it comes out, but having the opportunity to at least voice our opinions is wonderful. So thank you, guys. The only thing I want to say about the stop signs is that it added more confusion than there was before, especially for me coming out of my driveway. But it's, 40 years with not one incident. I think DPW agrees that it's just more confusing. So that's all I have to say. I thank you for your consideration. Tyler, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to speak to during public comment? Welcome. Same rules, please.
Hi, I'm Gregory Searcher, 43 Parish Hill Drive. I just want to reiterate what Vince said. I've been here, living there 22 years, never had any incident at that intersection. And with the stop signs, I find it's very confusing. People don't follow the signs. I haven't seen really anybody stop at the stop sign turning right down to the Broad Street. And I just think it's a good idea not to have them in there. And I noticed that other neighborhoods like Cathedral Circle doesn't have a stop sign in that intersection. And other intersections such as ours, there's no stop signs and doesn't seem to be posing a safety issue. And I've never felt unsafe going through that intersection. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. And anybody else? Seeing none, I thank you for your comments, and we'll close the portion of public comment. Okay, communications?
Communication's been received from Patty Berry, Deputy Tax Collector, regarding the review of impending tax deed properties. And a communication has been received from Patty Berry, Deputy Tax Collector, regarding delinquent tax and tax deed properties.
Okay, there being no objection, I'll accept the communications and place them on file. Also, I'm going to ask, without objection, that we're going to suspend the rules to allow a communication that was received after the agenda was prepared. To the clerk.
Communication has been received from Dan Hudson, Senior Traffic Engineer, regarding the removal of recently installed stop signs on Parish Hill Drive, Ordinance 23049.
Okay. Members of the committee, did you get a chance to look at that, or would you like it read into the record? Seem to be good. Okay, we'll accept that communication without objection and place it on file. New business ordinances.
023-049, authorizing the removal of stop signs at the southeast and southwest corners of Parish Hill Drive at its intersection with Parish Hill Drive.
Okay, Alderman Gavea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for final passage of O-23-049 and would like to speak to my motion.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what we have before us tonight is removing the stop signs on Parish Hill Drive. We put these up pretty recently with the thinking that it would help with the speed and traffic of the neighborhood. After further review of that, it has not helped that in the slightest, and in fact, at times has made things even worse. I think this is the right thing to do, in my opinion, and it's been really great over the past probably 2 months of talking to residents on Parish Hill, just like Mr. Kelly and Mr. Scherzer, about this issue and these stop signs. And we're going to continue to try to figure out how we can solve this problem of speed and some traffic on Parish Hill Drive. Just these stop signs weren't accomplishing it. And I think it is for the betterment of the neighborhood and for Ward 1 if we remove these. So if anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. I ask for everybody's favorable opinion on this matter. Thank you.
The chair does have one question to Alderman Gavea.
Yes.
Yes, it wasn't up there very long, but I think we proved a point that as an intersection, people should stop. Perhaps they had, and now have gotten a little bit into the habit, and so therefore it served its purpose, correct?
I would agree. I think it has served its purpose for what it was supposed to do, and it was a big outcry of the Parish Hill neighborhood with this issue. It just wasn't the folks out in the audience today. It was a petition of 40+ Parish Hill residents who have signed on in opposition of the stop sign. Obviously, I think everybody in every email I have received, which I greatly appreciate, even those who couldn't make it tonight, said that it was a well-intended thought. It just didn't pan out the way we wanted it to pan out. And we'll go back to the drawing board. I know I will be talking with, or have talked in the past, but we'll bring it up again with Police Chief Rourke, and we'll see if there's something we can do patrol-wise in that area, and we'll take it from there. But I'm happy we tried it. It didn't pan out the way it should have, or the way that, I think everybody would have liked it to pan out. So I'm willing to fix the issue tonight, and, hopefully we can go back to the drawing board and come up with another way of figuring out this issue.
Okay, final question, if I may.
Of course.
And communication with Dan Hudson, seems like the traffic and department seems to be on board with this, so there's no objection. They seem to be kind of soft on the matter.
Correct. That would be correct.
Very good. Thank you. Further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. Members of the committee, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Stop sign will be removed.
Well, let's go back.
Well, it'll go back to the full board, but yes.
Go back to the full board, but, yes, well, don't hold me to it, but we'll push it through.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, thank you, and your participation shows it works, so,
Yeah, it does, that's the whole thing. Thank you. Mike.
thank you. Right, do we have others?
Well, if they want to say something.
If they did come, do you want to
But
speak?
you never say anything after the deal's done.
Okay. We already
I
voted.
don't know if sales today.
If you're in favor of removing the stop sign, it's already been done, so. So if you're content, we're content. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you.
Oh, we got a letter from, Queen Husbands.
Okay.
They really didn't
At
want
this
it either.
particular time, without objection, I'm gonna go off the script. And what we'll do is we'll go into the unfinished business and everything, and then get down to the portion of wherever the taxes. And that way, in case we need to go into a non-public session, we are prepared to do such. Okay? So with that, unfinished business.
There's none.
New business resolutions.
There are none.
Tabled in committee.
There's none.
General discussion. Alderman Dow.
Yeah, I think a couple of us have been through this. I know Alderman Jettie has. I'm not sure about Trish. We haven't done this in a while, but there's so many of these that I think that when we do the presentation, we ought to go into non-public at that point, because we're going to be asked to make a decision on each one of the properties, and discussion will come up that should be in non-public. So I think as soon as but I'll defer to what they want to do. But I think when it comes into asking questions about the properties and making decisions, that ought to all be in non-public.
Okay, so that is after the presentation, correct?
It can be, but if we're going through the presentation, we probably shouldn't be asking questions until she's through and we go. The reason I meant to do it all at one time is because when you go through 20 properties, we'll be going through them again a second time, because people will forget what was said about the first property after you go through 20 others. So we have to make a decision in each one. So we'll be going through it twice. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody.
Okay, we'll take that under consideration. Other general discussion? Seeing none. Public comment? Doesn't seem to be anybody left. Remarks by Alderman? Seeing none. At this particular time, I would like to welcome up. Please come forward. Ms. Barry, Deputy Tax Collector, and Mr. John Griffin, two very strong Bruins fans. They witnessed history last night.
Yeah.
Yes, they did good.
Welcome to the Infrastructure Committee.
Thank you.
Mr. Griffin, seeing Alderman Dow suggested that we go into non-public. Do you think the presentation would be safe or should we go into non-public?
Or maybe, Mr. Chairman, if I may, kind of describe what we're trying to do here. And then after we explain to you and the members of the committee.
Right, go through an introduction.
Introduction, and Ms. Barry has a wealth of information on the proper tax deeding process.
Okay.
So I'm just going to introduce Ms. Patty Barry, Deputy Treasurer, Deputy Tax Collector, but in this regard, she's acting as the Deputy Tax Collector. So we had Mr. Fredette for several years, and Ms. Ruth Raswick as the Deputy Treasurer, Deputy Tax Collector. When they left, we were fortunate to hire Ms. Barry. She was a long-tenured city clerk tax collector, and after the most recent presidential election, she really wanted to join the city of Nashua and really do a great job with her deputy treasurer, deputy tax collector skills. We already have a city clerk, and Ms. Barry knows these people because she's in that community, but she's thankful for not having to do that anymore.
Absolutely.
So she's great. She's worked hard on this process. This isn't an easy process. Things are built up over the years, but there are choices that can be made. So Ms. Barry has done a few things. She sent you 2 pieces of communication that if there's any questions, she'd be happy to answer. But unlike, I just want to put a color on what Alderman Dowd's asking. The way Mr. Fredette approached this was he's going to present to you what you folks think we should take. The reality is you need to take these properties unless there's extenuating circumstances, and Ms. Barry will go into that. So I think we could probably go through the PowerPoint comfortably. We've taken out names, we've got addresses, we've got amounts due, but it's the second piece, which is Ms. Barry, through her research and all the other efforts, she's going to recommend that you waive the taking.
Of
So-
certain properties.
Of certain properties. So that's the request, is the waiving. Mr. Fredette, great approach. He was like, this is what I think you should take, and this is why. There are exceptions. You don't want to sock the city with polluted property and all of this. And the other thing is the taxpayer has the opportunity to enter into a payment agreement. And we have a few. But she'll go into the rendering of the bill, the leaning process, how long you have to wait in order to tax deed, the notices that have to be sent out. It's a complicated process. So with that, Mr. Chairman, maybe I could turn it over to Ms. Barry. And
Yeah,
then she
before
can-
we do so, I'm going to need a motion so that we can properly discuss this. And that way we'll be able to field questions. So, does the clerk want to make a motion?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Pursuant to RSA 8076-2 and 8076-2A, I would move to notify the tax collector to refuse the tax deeding at this time on the following properties: account 1830, 181 East Hollis Street; account 4804, 11 Bangor Street; account 12988, 97 Broad Street; account 28232, 9 March Street; account 38726, 12 Strawberry Bank; U5, account 40111, 8 Hidden Trail; account 48216, 2 Rhodian Drive, UA304; and account 48280, 272 Stonebridge Drive.
Okay. Seeing we have the pending motion, I will now turn the meeting over for a presentation by Deputy Treasurer Tax Collector Patty Barry. Welcome.
Thank you. So just briefly, I just wanted to go through the timeline.
Oh, excuse me, Miss Barry, do you have the clicker in hand?
I do.
And yeah, so you're all set?
Yep,
Okay,
I do.
thank you.
So in December, we have our December tax bill. That's the final bill of the year. Within 30 days of that bill, we have to issue a delinquent notice. So that goes out in January for any unpaid taxes. We usually will give the homeowner until the end of March to pay that tax before additional fees are added, mid-March. Then we'll follow up with an impending tax lien notice that's sent by certified mail. They have 30 days to pay that. If they don't pay it, a lien is placed. So that time frame is usually April, early May. What happens is you're accruing interest at 8% on your regular tax bill. Once it goes to lien, it now goes up to 14%. RSA 8076 requires that the tax collector issue a tax deed for any unpaid property 2 years and a day after that lien is placed. So this is where we're at now. So back in 2020, when the COVID hit, the state put an automatic stay on that process. So no tax deeds were issued. Unfortunately for Nashua, when the stay was lifted is when the deputy tax collector and the prior tax collector left. So having to find those replacements, go through, having new people coming in, we had a software conversion, that further delayed tax deeding processes. So now we're trying to play catch up. This year, we should be deeding on the 2020 tax lien. Right now, we have 210 available properties. It's a huge undertaking. So in discussing this, we had decided that the best approach is to try and work with the oldest outstanding liens first and work up. So tonight's properties, we have 24 properties that have outstanding liens from anywhere from 2002 to 2013. And if we're ready, if you don't mind, we can start going through some of these properties. I'm not sure how this is. Can you hit the?
Yeah, it's down here somewhere is where you usually want to aim at. If it doesn't work, I can do it from here.
Okay. All right, Donna didn't show me this one. There we go. So this is our list of 24 properties. The ones on the ends are, I have a slide for each property that we're requesting a waiver on, but I wanted you to be able to see the details, and then in non-public we can discuss why we're requesting a waiver on there. The first few properties are just land. So this first one is 3 to 5 Curtis Drive. As you can see, it's just under a half an acre. They owe taxes from 2008, actually through 22, but the tax deeding years are 2008 to 2010. Just those lien years is 1264 that was due, but overall, and we're only talking principal, we're not including any interest here. So the overall amount due is 7,800. I'm not from Nashua, so I don't know where exactly these locations are, these properties are. Okay. Do you want to stop for questions or continue through each one first?
I do have one.
Content to keep going.
Oh,
Okay.
I do have a question about, Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
no, over here.
Oh,
could I have a question?
sure.
You said that we're only talking about principal, not interest. So it says principal amount due and then total outstanding. So the total outstanding, is that?
Is from 2008 through 22.
Okay, so does that include interest or not?
No, there's no interest. We don't recognize interest unless we receive payment.
Okay, so where it says principal amount due, is that per year or what?
That's for just the 2008 to 2010.
Okay,
So some of these properties, we had sent notice. It depends on how much they owed for each lien year. So some of the smaller properties we're requesting a few years. There are some properties that we requested 5 years tax liens, could be 1 year, it depends on the amount that was due. Just to try and make it a little bit more manageable for the homeowner to try and pay.
okay, so I still don't understand where it says principal amount due.
That is for those 3 years, 2008, 2009, 2010.
Okay, and what is the total outstanding? What does that represent?
That's from 2008 to 2022.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I think we have one more question. Are you all set, Alderman Jettie?
I am, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Timmons, do you have a question?
Thank you, but the clarification have been made.
You're good? Okay. Please continue on, Ms. Barry.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, yes, Alderman Clay.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that. Just for those that are listening, when this came on the agenda, I had a couple people who called me and said to me, what is tax deeding? What is taking? Does it mean that you take away their property? Do you put your name on the deed? Or, so could you just quickly explain that? I do
yeah,
understand it, so
absolutely.
we take it, so.
So after proper noticing, tax deeding is the city takes ownership of the property. And then we need to discharge the property either by auction or by an RFP.
Follow-up, sir?
Follow up?
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. The other question that I got was, if we do auction or we do a sale or whatever, at any point, does any monies go back to the original owner? Do we just take what we need to pay this bill and then they get the rest?
That's a good question. So, years ago, the cities were allowed to, when they tax deeded a property, it was common practice for a municipality to hold the property for 2 years, and then they could sell the property and keep the proceeds. There is a lawsuit that was settled out of Bedford, the Polanski lawsuit, that now cities are not allowed to keep the proceeds. So there's really no reason to hold the property for 2 years. So let me back up a second. Once this tax deed is issued, we are required to notice the former owner and give them an opportunity to repurchase the property. So that is a 90-day timeline. That owner, once they receive the notice, if they choose to repurchase, and it would be for the full amount of taxes that's owed, any additional fees with, changing locks, whatever, maintenance, they have to send us a notice within 30 days of their intent to repurchase. If they don't do that, then we're free to sell the property. Once we sell the property, we're able to keep all taxes that are owed, any additional fees that go in, maintaining the property, and then any additional fees above that are turned over to the court, and the court disperses depending on, if they have mortgages or attachments.
Just a quick follow-up.
Follow-up?
And I think you did answer my next question. So if they did have a mortgage on it, once the municipality takes the taxes and fees, the court would then pay off whatever it is. So if
Yeah,
they
whatever
decide-
priority there is.
Right, so when they decide if the homeowner decided within that 90 days to purchase it, they would have to purchase it for whatever the mortgage was as well as?
No, they
Or they're
would,
just purchasing it back from us for
just
the
from us,
taxes?
right,
Okay.
just for what is owed to the city.
And they would still owe their mortgage and so on as such?
Right.
Thank you so much, I appreciate the
And
answers.
The
Yeah.
taxes take precedence over
Right.
every other
Yeah,
thing.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman Sullivan.
thank you very much. So you're here tonight to clean up that principal amount due, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the 08 to 2010, and then we'll go from there. But tonight is all about the principal amount due.
Correct.
Got it, thank you.
Once the property is eligible for resale, we are entitled to all interest that would have accrued up until the point of that sale. So just to clarify that a little bit
Okay,
more.
thank you.
Okay.
I do, the chair does have a question. There's a hidden cost to this too. Is the city responsible to make sure that the building is not derelict, is properly boarded up, locks, that it is locked and the property is safe and whatever? So it does come with a cost.
It does come with a cost, but those can be charged back to the property when we're selling it.
Okay, so we can recoup that money,
Yep,
what we invest into it.
right. And it includes liability insurance costs that you're adding on
correct.
once we take ownership. Yep.
Okay, good. Any further questions, members of the board? Alderman Jettie.
Just one, thank you. So, in the back of my mind, I remember reading some long time ago that,
Can I have the headphones?
that the city is not, all that the city is entitled to
Yeah.
is the taxes and whatever expenses are reasonably incurred. And am I right about this? The city would not have the right to once it acquires this property, it wouldn't have the right to keep it. It would have to put it up for auction, and then, anybody can purchase the property, but does the city have an obligation to, sell it at that auction, keep whatever the taxes and the expenses or whatever, and then, any amount that's received above that, to, return that to the original owner. But, the city cannot just acquire they can't just keep it, they've got to
No, they
sell
can.
it. They can?
Yeah, they can. Then you're responsible for the property for however long you choose to keep it. So that's especially true when you're talking about just lots of land. Most municipalities will just hold on to the land rather than selling it. But when you're talking about a home, it's usually best to sell it so that you can get another tax-paying citizen in there and get taxes on the books again.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We do have an additional question, Alderman Tebow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to clarify something, and maybe you said it, and so I just want to clarify to see if it's right. So the tax deed years, 2008, 2010, we're looking at that principal. I'm assuming they also owe from 2010 on.
Correct.
Right now, we're just going back to
Just
try
a
to
few
collect
years
those
at a
3
time.
years. And then later on, if we get this, we're going to go back for more.
Yeah, they'll
Okay.
eventually come back again at another point with, 2011 through whatever.
Oh, wow, okay.
year.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, any further questions?
One.
Alderman Timmons?
Yes, I have one question. And so once the principal amount is due and they still owe the outstanding balance, let's say in this case 7,000, do we deduct the $1,200 from there and then wait on the rest of the money or what?
I don't follow your
I might be
question,
able
I think.
to, I might be able to help out.
Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes, you may.
great question. Not only are we gonna tell them about this tax deeding, we're gonna, Ms. Barry and I are thinking every 6 months, they'll get the next chunk. Patty, Ms. Barry comes with, as Mr. Fredette had, a very, compassionate place, and if we haven't, we've leaned them, we've noticed them. Ms. Barry and I discussed that it's probably not that great to ask for the whole thing at once. Now, what happens is when you do this, they come running in. I mean, they're gonna pay, and then they're probably gonna figure out that, some kind of loan on their own, might be better than owing the city. But when it comes to taking the properties, we're gonna have to manage them. So one of the things you're probably gonna see in the upcoming budget is some type, and I'm working with Mr. Cummings on that, you're probably gonna need some type of management company that can take care of it. We've had a little bit of experience with the Hillcrest property that was taken for the Parkway, but it is complicated, and we have to determine what needs to be done to the building, and so forth and so on. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Dow.
As long as we're doing clarifying questions, who set the 8%, 14%, just for the public knowledge?
That's state law,
State law.
yes. Actually, that was a reduction in the last couple of years. It used to be 12% and 18%. So these older liens right now are accruing interest at 18%. So it's a hefty amount. So they reduced the interest starting with the 2020 tax year. Any further questions? You
Yeah.
continue?
Carry on.
Okay, thank you. Our next property is Irene Street. This is another lot of land. Incidentally, when I submitted the packet, I had included a worksheet. I don't know if everyone has that. That has a little bit more details on it, which has the total amount due on there, so. Okay, so Irene Street, this lot is landlocked. So it's pretty much useless to the homeowners, and they had requested that the city take over this property. So that's owed from 2010 to 2011. Well, through 22, obviously. All these properties owe through 22. Okay, the city of Nashua owns the surrounding lots, as you can see in the green on the map. Do I just keep going? Sure. Okay. The next property is Al Narrows Road. This one is 9 acres of land. Also, the city owns the surrounding lots around it. And this one, the total outstanding from 2007 through 22 is $64,000. And this lot's also landlocked. The next property is L Edgewood Ave. This one's just 1/4 acre, also landlocked, and they owe an outstanding amount of $22,400 and change. These next properties are going to be owner-occupied homes. So the first one is 17 PERHAM Street. Let me just pull it around here. This one, I have more details that we can discuss in non-public, okay? But they owe from 2011. There we go. 19 New Searles Road is the home that had a fire in it. So this is uninhabitable at the moment. It has been for many years. They owe from 2012, and the total outstanding is $39,257. A little over 1/4 acre. Next is 300 Pine Street. This one owes from 2011 through 22, and total outstanding is $49,000, almost 3/4 acre. This is 1 Edward Street. So that he owes from 2011 through 22, and total outstanding is $89,700. 62 Tanglewood Road. It was from 2011 through 22, and the total outstanding is $208,000. This is almost an acre of land. Next, we have 96 Lock Street. They owe from 2009, and total outstanding is $83,820, just under 1/2 acre. And this is a multi-unit building. 115 and 117 West Hollis Street. It's a 2-family. They owe from 2009 through 22, and total amount due is $85,401. And this one is a condo, 201 Millwright Drive. It was from 2011 through 22 for a total of $30,000. This unit also has a land lease. We have 3 developments, I guess, that will have a condo and then a land lease. So they also owe on the land lease as well. 7 Ponderosa, a mobile home. Mobile homes, most cities and towns don't like to take mobile homes because of the liability of paying park rent. But we have some mobile homes that just owe so far behind in property taxes. So we would be responsible for the park rent of $450 a month at this development. They owe from 2009 through 22, and total outstanding is $22,500 before interest. And again, the 14 Meadow Lane, same thing. The park rent here is $471 a month, and they owe from 2007, and total outstanding is $42,844. 17 Jackson Street. So these next two properties are the Nashua building contractors. They're behind, this lot is behind the Farmers Exchange. So they're one of our oldest ones. They owe from 2002. And they owe $178,000. So this is the building, and then this is the lot that is in front of the building, both owned by the same people. So these with the stars on it are the ones that I'm requesting waivers on, and we'll discuss that in non-public. 181 East Hollis Street is a garage. They owe from 2006 through 22, $164,900 in principal alone. There's currently one tenant in there, but there is space for 3 tenants. Oops, went a little too fast. 11 Bangor Street is another one we're requesting to waive. This one's a mobile home. They owe from 2010 through 22 for total outstanding of 22,200 and change. 97 Broad Street owes from 2012 through 22, total outstanding 38,000. Small lot there. 9 March Street. They owe from 2011 to 22, 61,461. That's another single family. 12 Strawberry Bank, Unit 5. This owes from 2008. Again, we'll discuss these details in non-public. This one is outstanding of 15,889. And this one is currently rented with a tenant. And 8 Hidden Trail is another mobile home. We'd be liable for park rent if we were to take this, but I'm requesting a waiver. They owe from 2009 through 22 to for 20,340. And then I think this is one of the last ones. I removed 2 Rodine because he paid, so that's always a good thing. And now we have 272 Stonebridge, another condo with a land lease. And this one is owes from 2011 through 22 for 3,600 for the land lease owner. Only the lot is, the unit is paid. Okay, so this is the 2 RSAs that outline reasons not to deed a property. RSA 8076, number 2 is for any property that is contaminated or has an environmental issue. That's very specific for that one RSA. And then 2A is for any other reason that would be contrary to public interest. So this could be taking a property would put us at a liability risk. It would make us be landlords. Usually, if we enter into a payment agreement, this would fall under that reason to be contrary to public interest. That's the guideline that would fall under for payment plans. The RSA is very specific that we can't not deed a property because we know them or we're friends with them, anything like that. So it's very specific on that ruling. Do I have anything else here? My clicker's not working. Okay, so I think it was just the motions, right? Oh, great, thank you. So these are the highlighted properties that we are requesting a deed waiver on. And then the final one is just the motion. I think that is it.
Okay, Chair does have a question. On the original motion, it was read to Rodine. Should that be amended on the original motion?
Yes, because that is now paid. They just come in and paid that.
Okay, let's clear that up right now. There's the clerk, do you have a motion?
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion to amend the previous motion to strike account 28216, 2 Red Ann Drive, Unit A 304 from the motion.
Discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The amended motion passes. Okay, clerk?
Yes, sir. I just have a clarifying question, and just very generally, I don't want to speak about any specific property, but if the city does deed one of these properties and we take ownership and then we look for disposition either by auction or RFP, like was mentioned previously, if there is tenants in the home that aren't the homeowners, do they have any sort of rights as far as their tenancy goes? It's not necessarily a renter's fault that the owner of the property is behind on their taxes. What sort of rights do renters have when the city takes the property from the homeowner?
We would have to send them notice as well. I'm not really sure what their rights are beyond that, noticing. Some of these, we don't know who the tenants are, and I've just recently found out some of the tenants, and we can discuss that a little bit more in non-public, because that is one of the reasons why I'm asking for a waiver on one of these properties.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Dow?
One other clarifying point for the public. If we end up disposing of one of these properties and take all the money that's tax due through 2022, and we collect that money goes into the general fund as revenue?
Yeah,
I knew you'd want that question.
yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Absolutely.
When we bill taxpayers, we assume we collected. So when they pay us, we'll have the principal will be collected, but the interest will be on the financial statements as revenue. What happens is, Ms. Barry told us the process. We're fortunate, most of our taxpayers pay the bills on time. There are some that wait a little bit for different reasons. They pay the 8% come in, that's revenue, and then once they get the lien, they rush in. This thing starts maybe with 600 delinquencies at some point, and comes
Yeah.
down to maybe 300 or 400.
Which is really a good number, considering we have 28,000 taxable properties, and we're leaning between 600 and 700 every year. So we have a good collection rate. It seems like a lot when we're at this point, but the overall collection rate is really, really good.
Okay, Alderman Tebow.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one quick question. All the outstanding stuff that's not like just a couple of months here, total, how much is out there, I guess, of money that we have not gotten in taxes, like total, from the oldest to, maybe 6 months ago or whatever, roughly?
Yeah, so what's total outstanding, and not including current 2022,
Yeah.
but for liens, is, including interest, is 4.4, no, I'm sorry, just principal, 4.4 million.
Okay, thank you.
There are, we do have liens in it's the Tannery project, that property that goes back to 1989. So we do have quite a large backlog.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, to add to that, I'm thinking about 4 million in interest. So it's a big number. I always tell treasurer for debt, how much have you billed since 2002? And it's billions. So, there's always these uncollectible debts and so forth. And I will say that Patty's contacts at Manchester, they've gone through an 8-year process of kind of whittling these things down. So I say to Patty, what happens if we hired a bunch of people and just collected everything in the next couple of months, and that you don't have the research that goes in? You have to properly notice. You have to contact a bunch of folks, and it's really a huge undertaking to do wholesale. So I think this approach, we hope you agree that this approach is a little bit more humane, but gets the message across, and then people might say, should I use the city as a bank, or should I maybe, take out that credit card with a teaser rate on it? Those are the decisions I think we all make, but thank you.
If there's no further questions, I think at this particular time, so we can get into the nuts and bolts of this, we'll go into non-public. So while we're still live, is there any questions by members of the board? Seeing none, I will turn to the clerk to make a motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion that the Committee on Infrastructure go into non-public session by roll call pursuant to RSA 91A 3-2C, matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of the public body itself, unless such person requests an open meeting. This exemption shall extend to any application for assistance or tax abatement or waiver of a fee, fine, or other levy if based on inability to pay or poverty of the applicant, by roll call. And we need a second.
Okay, can I have a second, please? Alderman Caveva has seconded. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Jettie,
Yes.
Alderman Govea,
Yes.
Alderman Cameau is a yes, Alderman Dowd,
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
You have 5 yeses and no nos.
Okay, the motion passes. We will now go into non-public. Alderman is clear. If you want to notify the TV people, we're going to.